Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm here solo today. This feels weird. This feels weird. What's up? Full screen, baby. Um yeah, welcome back to the channel. If this is the first time you're watching this channel, my name is Finto. This channel usually goes live on a Wednesday. We do a podcast, myself and Alex, but he's not around this week, and it's the first day of Daredevil Born Again. Well, first day for people living in the EU because they aired it stupidly at 2 a.m. So said that I would go live by myself, just give a bit of a kind of first thoughts, put them down officially. I'm literally just finished watching the episode there, so yeah, it it was good. It was definitely good. Was it like as good as I thought it was going to be? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, like it felt like Daredevil in a lot of ways, but then in some ways it didn't, and that was kind of hard to really just wrap my head around. I watched it with my missus, and she was not as like I was more impressed than she was, but it felt like it kind of felt like there was just it felt a little too Disney. I kind of understand. I know why they're doing it. Daredevil is like more acrobatic in the MCU. It kind of makes sense to me. He's literally a little more comic based. He's doing a lot more flipping and stuff like that, and he's kind of like Spider-Man. Like we kind of know that his senses are a little more attuned to like Spider-Man spider senses we saw in No Way Home. So, you know, Daredevil is very powerful, but it just feels weird. We're kind of going through a rewatch of the Netflix series at the moment, like on the lead up to this. And that show is it's so grounded and it just feels right. This show is just, I don't know. It starts like, I think by the end of episode 2, it feels a lot more like the Netflix series. And it was kind of a bit of a sigh of relief. But that opening scene at the start of the first episode, and like, if there's anybody here who's listening to this right now who hasn't seen the show, spoiler alert, big time spoiler alert. But Foggy dies. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I genuinely could not believe what I was seeing. Like, they brought back the actors. They brought back Karen. They brought back Foggy, and they killed Foggy in the first 5 minutes of the episode. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it, because when I heard that he was coming back and he was on the press tour, he did it just felt like he was going to be in the whole show. I really thought like it. I really thought. Now, I don't know if they do flashbacks and they bring him back that way, or something happens in that sense, but as of right now, he had 5 minutes on screen and now he's gone. And it was so sad. I think I heard, did I hear a spoiler? I heard something about Foggy dying, but I thought it was going to be like end of season 1, big tragic end to him. But to see him get shot in the first episode, I was like, oh, maybe he's not dead. But then, boom, flatline. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was crazy. What did you guys think? Like, what did people think? I'd love to know. I've been on a kind of social media blackout for the day, so the episode aired at 2 a.m. my time. I'm a working man. I'm a father. I can't be staying up till 4 a.m. to watch Marvel TV. So I had to kind of get up, do a day in the office, come home, spend time with the family, put the kids to bed, and then come live. Or sorry, well then watch the episode, and now I'm here kind of talking about it. So it's nearly 24 hours since the episode came out. So yeah, it's a rough one. But look, for the most part, I think Charlie Cox is great. Obviously, Vincent D'Onofrio's incredible. He's menacing, but like for the first 2 episodes, you kind of feel like he's kind of turned over a new leaf, and he's kind of laughing and joking a lot and smiling, and you can see his teeth and everything. I'm like, this feels weird. It doesn't really feel like Fisk. And then like towards the end of episode 2, he kind of starts showing his true colors again. You're like, okay, here we go. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's just it's a rough one. I had people DMing me, "What did you think? Have you seen the episodes yet? Have you seen them?" And I had to just like ignore everybody. I didn't want to get any spoilers online, so I haven't been on Twitter, haven't watched any YouTube videos, I haven't watched any Den of Nerds or anything like that. I couldn't hang out in the stream today because I just didn't want to hear spoilers. So what I might do is maybe together, since we're kind of this isn't a podcast episode, we're just kind of chilling out here. I might clip some of this stuff out just to put on the clips channel. We have a new clips channel, just so that we can put up some initial thoughts. But what I might do is I might watch a couple of reaction videos and just see what other people think as well. We can just kind of chill out for a bit, and yeah. If you're watching this on a replay, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you're sub to the channel, all that beautiful YouTube stuff. Yeah, so. Oh, man. I don't know. Look, it's good. I've been saying this for a long time. If the show was going to be half as good as the Netflix series, it was going to be the best thing that the MCU have done. That was kind of my initial thoughts, and I kind of stand by that statement. I think, it's definitely not as good as the Netflix show right now. It could get there. I know, Muse is going to be a great character, and I think it's going to get really, really dark. I kind of like the vibes of White Tiger. That'll be an interesting story, and obviously, I don't know. I want to see obviously more Matt. We know we have Punisher coming as well, so yeah, it's to be seen, I suppose. But yeah, right now it's a little shaky, a little shakier than I thought it was going to be. Just being very honest, I probably would give the show so far probably an 8 out of 10. I think, like, I checked IMDb. It's like sitting on a 9.1. I don't think, from what we've seen so far, I don't think the show deserves that rating. I think that's a little too high. Like, that opening scene for me really, really hurt the show. Like, him flipping around, the CGI was absolutely fucking awful. The fight scene was terrible. The choreography was even bad. The camera work was dreadful. Like, there was scenes where it looked like the cameraman was falling up the stairs trying to record them and stuff, and there's you could see like fucking 5% of the hallway, and it was just like the camera had fallen over and stuff. It didn't work. It was shot really poorly, really, really poorly. The fight at the end of the second episode, where he's in the witnesses apartment, that was fucking brilliant. That was great. I really, really liked that. But yeah, for that opening scene was just ridiculous. Where that first jump where he comes in and lands on the fire escape, like, I laughed. I was like, what the fuck was that? Because you saw the very first shot of him just landing and it looked cool. But when you see him whipping in, and then like, it just looked so fucking bad. It looked like 1996 CGI. Like, it was just dreadful. What the fuck were they thinking putting that into the final product? Honestly, it was so bad. And like, that was such a shaky start that I was really scared. And then Foggy getting shot, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, they are just destroying me right now with this. I was so scared. Oh man. Awful stuff. Jesus. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. But I do feel like by the end of episode 2, they've really kind of, it's course corrected in a way. It feels a lot more like Daredevil now. I like that Tony Soprano Jr. is in the show as well. I wonder, will he have a really big part? He seems like he does. Like, he was pretty heavily involved in the first 2 episodes. It was cool to see him. Don't know how I feel about his new love interest yet. Time will tell. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Wouldn't mind. What I might do is I might throw up Josh's reaction to it, because I haven't even seen it. Maybe we could just watch it live and just kind of do a little reaction to it. See what people think. Shout out to the Den of Nerds. I don't even know. I don't know if he liked it or hated it. I have no idea. So this I haven't seen a lot of these new ones yet. We'll make Josh bigger. Yo, Dan, what's up, dude? How are you? Man, this is just I'm just doing a little like kind of chill out stream. This isn't a podcast episode. We're not official here. I'm just hanging out with the chat. I'm gonna watch Josh's initial breakdown of the episode. I haven't seen anything. I've been complete media blackout today, and just because I only got a chance to watch the episodes there. Like I just finished up there about 25 minutes ago. I'm like live right now, fresh thoughts. Just put my thoughts to paper, as they say. How are you? Did you watch the episodes? What did you think? Did you like them, or what would you score it out of 10? Give us your honest opinion there. I'm curious. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and I just saw Daredevil Born Again, episode 1 and episode 2. And so in this video, I want to talk.
Episode 1 and 8, episode 2 a 6. Is that Ep 1 8, episode 2 6? I actually would probably, I think I'd probably rate episode 2 a little higher than episode 1, in my opinion. I think the opening scene in episode 1 really fucking hurt my feelings. Really, really just like got to me. The terrible CGI, the killing of Foggy straight away, like it pissed me off. And that for me, like really drove that episode down. I just did not like it at all. I don't like the direction. Like the fact that we heard that they killed them off screen, and then like, you know, Daredevil's in a like a, you know, he's in a depression and all, he's not Daredevil anymore. And then basically when we heard that they changed all that and brought them back, I thought, okay, they've rewritten it. It's cool. It's going to be a different story. And basically, they've just done the same story, but they've brought the original characters back to basically just kill them on screen. Oh, you don't like that we killed them off screen? Let's kill them on screen. Like, what the fuck were they thinking with that? Bizarre.
Talk about the episodes, give you a breakdown,
I want to see
talk
what
about
Josh
whether I
has to
thought
say.
it was bad or good. What did I like about it? What did I not like about it? We obviously have to talk about spoilers, man. A massive freaking spoiler within the first 15 minutes of the episode, and a lot of people are talking about it. It's really wild. So we'll touch on that.
Bro, I didn't like that shot. I just spoke about this before you came in. So I thought the choreography in that fight scene was fucking awful. Like, if you think back to how good Poindexter was in season 3 and how good they made those fight scenes, like this was sloppy. It was shot poorly. There was too much fucking jumping around, and I know Daredevil's meant to be acrobatic in the fucking MCU. I know this, but it just didn't even look good. It didn't look like they were doing it well. And like some of the punches didn't even land, and they did. It's like they didn't even attempt to make them land. And then the camera work, it was like the cameraman was falling up the stairs. It was fucking awful, man. I like, it really pissed me off. And like my girlfriend was like, I don't know if like have Disney fucked this show up already. Like her her confidence in the show was lost already. And we're only 2 episodes in. Like, I have faith in the process, but that first episode was rocky, in my opinion, bro. Rocky.
That as I go over everything, but we'll talk about it again at the end of the video, because Brad Winderbaum, who's the head of Marvel Television,
Guys, make sure you're following the Den of
in an
Nerds.
interview recently, it said something really freaking weird about Foggy and about that whole scene. So how was Daredevil Born Again? You know, there's a lot of anticipation for this show. Of course, the creative.
Yo, Todd, what's up, dude? How are you? I'm kind of mixed on this show, but it's going to be a lot of talking in rooms. That part doesn't bother me, right? And the reason why it doesn't bother me is because this show is quite like, that's what the show's like, you know. It's very dialogue heavy and stuff, and I don't mind that at all. What really kind of fucked me up was the bad CGI at the start, the terrible choreography, and obviously Foggy's death was just gripping. Like, I could not believe what I was seeing. I even said to my missus at the start of the episode, I was like, this has to be a dream. There has to be a dream sequence. He's having a nightmare or something like that. Because when he threw Poindexter off the roof, I was like, this isn't Matt. Like, what the fuck? I was like, no, this is a dream or something. And that's how bad it was, that I just didn't even think it was real, you know? Episode 1 and 2 are old show. Episode 3 is the new show. Okay, so the first 2 episodes were from the original script before they like came in and rewrote shit. Is that what you're saying? I'm surprised that they like still decided to kill Foggy. I think it's a fucking absolutely dreadful idea. Like, to me, Foggy is as much of a part of the show and as important to the show as Vincent D'Onofrio, as Charlie Cox, as Deborah Ann Wall. I think Foggy deserves to be there. He is as important as the rest of them. Honestly, truly believe that. I think it's an absolute shock that they've killed him off so quickly. Like, I can't believe it was 5 minutes in the episode. I did hear something about it happening. There was like a leak that he died, and I was shocked that I heard it. I was pissed off. I think it was Josh who actually said it on one of his streams, and I was like, "Fuck! I wish I didn't hear that." But I didn't think it was going to be 5 minutes into the fucking episode. Jesus, come on!
Of overhaul that happened with the show is a massive deal. I've talked about it a lot.
I'm going to try not to
A
pause
lot
this
of other
video
people
too
have
much.
talked about it too. Marvel was making a different version of the show. They sat back, they looked at it, and they said, "This shit sucks ass. We're not doing this anymore." So they fired everybody. They got new writers, new directors, and they basically remade the show. And so, of course, there's a lot of anticipation. The old Netflix show, very, very big deal. People loved it. And because of the creative overhaul for this show, I think there were just extra expectations for it. And I would say just my basic overall take on these first 2 episodes is that they were very good. They are not perfect. This is not the same experience of watching the Netflix show. I guess, unfortunately for Marvel Studios, the first episode of the Netflix show is like a masterclass in every aspect of storytelling. It's phenomenal. And it's also like introducing us to Matt and the themes of his Catholicism, his guilt, what he's about to do, his training, all of that sort of stuff. So it would be very hard to compete against that. And I don't think the first episode of Born Again can hold a candle to that original Netflix first episode. Having said that, though, this is an incredible first episode. This is mind-blowing. The first 15 minutes, I could not look away. The pacing was phenomenal.
I'm surprised that Josh is saying this, honestly, because, again, full disclaimer, I haven't been online today at all. I've been too afraid to look at anything. I haven't been online at all. But I thought he was going to feel like me. I thought he was going to be like, this is bullshit. Like, choreography was terrible, like everything. Like, now, if you take the bad choreography out of it, yes, it is quite gripping and stuff. But I couldn't get past it. I could not get past it. It was awful. Jesus. And I'm so sad that I'm saying that, because this is honestly my favorite show. Like, it's the best superhero TV show we've ever gotten. So I know they have a lot to live up to, but yeah, please no more of this stupid CGI. Like, he looked better in She-Hulk. I can't believe I'm saying this. Daredevil looked better in She-Hulk right now. If you think about it, right? When we saw him doing those fight scenes in She-Hulk where he was flipping around and stuff, and where he was fighting She-Hulk at the beginning, that actually worked. Like, the acrobatics looked great. Like, it looked realistic. Whereas in this show, it just looked fucking far-fetched. Like, it looked stupid. Man, it really annoyed me. Really annoyed me.
The action is absolutely incredible. And I will say, too, just while we're getting into this aspect of the show so far, I actually enjoy more than the Netflix stuff. And that's crazy. I know a lot of people be like, what are you talking about? I'm telling you right now, the way that the CGI was used, the way that Daredevil can actually like swing around, the atmosphere of what it's like when Daredevil is fighting against Bullseye. We only got like 5-10 minutes of that action in the first episode. And I'm telling you right now, I need more of it.
Yeah, I almost cried as well. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I can't believe what Josh is saying here. Honestly, you thought it looked good as well. I thought it looked terrible. I'm gonna rewatch the scene tomorrow, but I was shocked at how bad it was. The lighting was terrible. The fucking like choreography itself just didn't seem to work. It felt slow. It felt like a dance. It didn't feel like it was like at all proper. I don't know. Yo, what's up, Rebel? How are you? Haven't watched any of this, so I'll pop in to say hello. Yeah, I'm kind of going all out here. So if you don't want any spoilers, I really appreciate the lurk. If you want to leave a lurk up and just, hang out. But yeah, I'm going balls to the wall here. So yeah, maybe mute the tab for a little while. But I appreciate you popping in. Thank you so much.
Feels cleaner and yet more comic booky than
when he jumped in there. That was fucking cool. That was cool. I thought that straight away when he jumped in. I was like, that's fucking cool. But those first scenes where he was swinging in and stuff, and where he jumped onto the fire escape, looked ridiculous in my opinion.
Anything we got before in the Netflix series. This might surprise you, but I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Like, I love the Nolan Batman movies. But one of the things I don't love about those movies is how Batman fights in those films. Like, it's way too, what would this look like if a regular dude was actually fighting, and not comic booky enough for me, right? So I actually prefer some of the action that's in some of the Zack Snyder stuff. There's that particular scene with Batman when he enters the warehouse
Yeah,
in Batman
that's-
v Superman.
Sorry, the Batman v Superman scene, that scene right there is probably one of the best Batman scenes of all time. I don't get the vibe that this opening scene in Daredevil is anything like this. It felt like way too fake to me.
I still think that is
I
the
don't get it.
best action we've ever seen with Batman
Yeah,
in live
that's-
action. And so
yeah.
I actually don't love when cinematographers or choreographers or just people making these things, I don't love it when they try to take it in this super realistic approach. And even though the action in the Netflix series was really good, like I'm not trying to say
stand
it
by
was
the Martha
bad.
scene.
What
I
I am
understand
trying to
what they were
say
trying
though
to
is that what they did
This
in
was
this
crap,
first episode
bro.
of the Marvel version, I like better. And if we can get more of that and it's
I don't
just
like it.
as consistent, then I will forever be a fan of this type of fighting in action as compared.
You know, like obviously they're coming up the stairs. The part just before this, like it looked like the cameraman fell over. It looked crazy. It didn't look right. Didn't look right. I agree.
compared to the Netflix stuff. However, there's a lot of stuff that this new version of the show just cannot compete with the Netflix stuff, and one has to do with the cast of characters. So, of course, in the very beginning of Born Again, you have Foggy and Karen, and it seems like everything's going well. Bullseye kills Foggy, literally, kills him, and that's like a whole crazy thing. We'll get into it. But essentially, that cast, which was so incredible from the old series, is not really a big part of the show. And Matt has his new partners. He has this new friend that's a lawyer colleague. He has this new love interest. There's all kinds of new people around Matt, including this detective Cherry and all of this. And the thing that's
Cherry's cool.
difficult is like all of these people are fine. They just don't compete with the chemistry and what we had with the cast in the Netflix series.
It's actually cruel, right? Look at that picture. It's cruel that they did this to us. They brought him back. They had Foggy looking swag. He got the cool hair. He's got the beard. He's probably still with Marcy, loving life, or maybe he's not. I don't know. He looked like he was like hitting on your one in the bar, but whatever. He's like, the two of them look well, and then they go and do what they did. I'm still shocked. I'm shocked.
None of these new actors and none of these new characters are as cool as like a Ben Urich or that other cop from the Netflix series that Foggy bought his mom cigars, Foggy and his girlfriend, that blonde chick from literally
Marcy.
Every single character that was in the Netflix version is so much better, so much more interesting. And unfortunately for Born Again, that I do have to like docket points for that. Now, truthfully, what I think is happening here is this is like the old version of the show. And this is stuff from when the show was going to be very, very different from the Netflix stuff. And we know that Dario Scartapan wrote additional material to tie the old stuff to the new version of the show. So what I'm saying is I'm kind of hoping that these...
I'm just looking at Vincent here. Like, as well, just on top of this, I don't know if Josh is going to touch on this, but like, he feels like, I know he obviously, visited Afrio's lost weight and he's probably a lot healthier and he's probably a lot happier, but he doesn't look as menacing because he looks a lot smaller. He looks thinner, like his frame, like he used to just be so scary looking when he was wider. Like, I know, I don't know, maybe they should have put a fat suit on him or something, but he just felt a little small. Like he always felt like he towered over absolutely everybody in the Netflix show because he was so big, but like in this show, he just doesn't feel that big at all. And he, like, I think, as Todd says, it makes him feel soft. Like, yeah, like again, I mentioned this at the start, but I felt like he's smiling a lot. You're seeing his teeth a lot, and like he's cracking jokes and stuff. And it did feel weird. I don't know if that's all just a show. He's putting on a great show. Like I'm a changed man. I'm not a thug anymore. But then obviously, at the end of the second episode, we see, he's taking pictures of the commissioner's family and stuff in Philly, and like it's like yeah, I'm still the kingpin. What do we think of Vanessa? Vanessa's basically become Lady Kingpin now. I think that's kind of an interesting dynamic, and obviously the two of them have gone their separate ways. And did he make some comment that he knows that she's been like fucking somebody else, and she was like, "Don't kill him, please," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not that man anymore." Like, it's wild. Like the dynamic between the two of them is probably one of the most interesting parts of the show for me personally, because it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, she appears to be like Lady Kingpin at the moment, and he's trying to fly the straight and narrow. But I wonder, is it all just a ploy as well? But then, see, like Kingpin can be he can be very kind of menacing and very kind of 10 steps ahead. Does he know that Matt is going out with this girl? And he's like, this is all a show. He's bringing the wife in for couples counseling in hopes that she goes home and says, oh, I'm talking to the mayor. Like, that's how many steps ahead he could be playing, or this could be genuine. I don't know. It could go either way. And that's what is interesting to me, is like, is Fisk actually so many steps ahead? Is he playing the long game so much so that he's hoping that she'll like break her Hippocratic oath or whatever and talk to Matt about him? Like, that's how far ahead he is? Or is this just genuinely like, he's just, the two of them are just, going through couples counseling and falling apart and she's fucking around? I don't know. We'll find out.
First 2 episodes is all that we will have to deal with from the old version of the show. And I hope we're going to start to kick into gear and get into some crazier stuff, because I still think there's a lot of...
Is that official? What Josh just said there about those first 2 episodes being the only things from the original show? Is that actually official, or is Josh just fucking speculating that? What the hell is Stream Elements doing? Todd, please ignore Stream Elements. Don't mind them. What the fuck? I'll have to see, could I change that? That's ridiculous. They did focus on the cut knuckles. Yeah. I said that straight away. I saw the knuckles. I was like, what's he been up to? I like the way they've kind of hidden the scars and stuff like that. And I saw somebody put up a picture of Matt. I don't know if it's from one of the later episodes where he's kind of lying in bed like topless, but it looks like a lot of his scars are gone. And that looks like a continuity error, but
can do with
we'll
Matt,
address that when we officially see it, I suppose.
Other characters and bringing back some of the other characters from the Netflix stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that that's a thing, and I'm hoping that that's something we get in episode 3 and all the way to 9 is more of that other stuff. Now, on that note, of course, all of the characters from the old version of the show shine so incredibly bright. Most of all, Wilson Fisk and Matt himself. Their conversation at the end of episode 1 is mind-blowing. It's absolutely incredible. The performance is great. The chemistry is great. Like, I love that stuff. And some of the stuff with Foggy, even at the courtroom, is really great. It feels raw and real. And so, again, there's a lot of hope for big things coming and being built with the older cast of characters. And maybe they'll even do stuff with the new characters to make me like them a little bit more. We do see the character of Muse have a scene with Matt's new girlfriend, who is the therapist, and this guy's asking for help. That's probably going to come into play later. We know Frank Castle's going to be a part of this. Bullseye has more scenes in the future, more Fisk in the future. So there's a lot of good, juicy stuff coming. And as far as episode 2, it's not as good as episode 1, in my opinion. I mean, it's really hard to compete with that opening and then the ending with Fisk becoming mayor. Like, that's a really well-crafted first episode. Again, not quite as good as the first episode of the Netflix series, but still very good in its own right. But episode 2 really feels like the connective tissue between 2 parts of the show, and frankly, potentially 2 actual different versions of the show. And oh my goodness, the end of episode 2 was incredible. The violence, and it really was an earned and super shocking moment when Matt is getting beat up by those police officers, and then he snaps and he ends up going very, very violent on them. And I kind of think that he's back as Daredevil now. Like, I feel like that's kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Maybe not. Maybe we'll see him continue to sort of struggle with that before he fully puts the suit back on. And episode 2 is building some interesting character stuff. It's interesting that Matt's new girlfriend is secretly a therapist for the couple of Vanessa and Wilson Fisk. That's going to be a huge conflict of interest, something really crazy. You can sort of feel the building of Muse in the background, and the political situation in New York is obviously very tumultuous, and there's a lot of interesting drama with that. Fisk and the police commissioner and a lot of that stuff. It's interesting. It just wasn't as good as episode 1. Wasn't as good as a lot of the Netflix series, but I think I can sort of give it a passing score because I think it's going to kind of bridge the old version of the show with the new version of the show. At least that's what I'm hoping. And so I guess my overall take here, my sort of spoilery review and my thoughts of Daredevil so far is Marvel should be proud. I think it's a really good show. I think it's sure of itself. It's doing some really interesting things with like the documentary style stuff that BB is doing. And I kind of love how her uncle was Ben Urich, and that's cool. It's really moody. Like, you can clearly see Matt and his mood, and that sort of developed around as the tone overall for all the characters. I think the way they're using Matt's powers is fascinating. Like, the way that they use the audio and the aspect ratio changes and a lot of the camera changes.
I wanted to make a comment about that as well. Like, I kind of fucking hate that they are not doing like full screen aspect ratio for everything now. Like make it look like IMAX. Like that kind of annoys me. But I thought it was very cool when he was focused on listening and it stretched out to full screen and then went back down to 16:9. That was fucking cool.
Emphasize his
I
powers.
agree.
Very, very cool. So a lot of this is on point. It's only 2 episodes, but I really see a lot of potential here. And if it continues on this trajectory and it gets even better, and some of the Muse stuff that's happening is apparently going to be wild, and I think the action's going to go crazy, I could see this being one of my favorite Marvel things ever, right? Like I can absolutely see that happening. But I would have to say, like,
Oh, Todd,
for
I don't know if you
now,
can hear me, bro. Sorry, I just opened up my chat on my phone here, and I can see that Streamlabs timed you out. That wasn't me who did that, by the way, so apologies for that. That's like some sort of auto moderator thing. So I'm gonna see if I can fix that. Don't worry about it. So yeah, really sorry about that, dude. Jesus.
It didn't quite hit the level of peak or masterpiece that maybe some of us were expecting or hoping for based on what the Netflix show did. And I kind of see this as like, if you want to root for Marvel, you will like this show and be like, okay, yeah, this is much better than a lot of other stuff. I'm into this. I'm enjoying myself. This feels like a really good time. If you want to crap on Marvel and you're still frustrated with Marvel, you could probably point out all the little flaws in the way that the show is not as complete and as good as the Netflix version. A lot of that is yet to be determined, right? So kind of like either way, we really don't know. The jury is still out, frankly. But that's kind of my take. I'd probably give episode 1 a 9 out of 10, and I'd give episode 2 like a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. And that's great. Like those are really great scores. Like that is fantastic for Daredevil. So I think we're off to a really, really great start. But now let's talk about Foggy Nelson, the death of Foggy Nelson. This is crazy, man. And it's maybe the worst kept secret ever, right? We literally saw set photos of Foggy dead on the ground, and we all kind of coped for over a year, and we're like, oh, maybe that's not real. Maybe he'll come back in some way, shape, or form. And it happened last night. It was devastating.
It
The
happened
actual
so
writers and the
quickly,
showrunner
bro.
have said that they needed to have it happen on screen, and in the original version of the show, Foggy was going to die off screen. So frankly, this is better than him just dying off screen, but it's still a gut punch, and it still really sucks. And I think ultimately the thing that is the worst part about all of it is that there's just literally nobody else that has that chemistry with Matt. And it's so weird to take a relationship that was so formative and important to the spice of that old show and just remove it in order to set Matt on a certain path. And I get that, and I think that's wild. But ultimately, I think what was lost has not been replaced enough. Like, I don't feel like any of the new cast or any of the new characters can hold a candle to what Foggy and Matt had. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it ultimately means this was a big mistake. But the thing that's really weird about it is Brad Winderbaum literally just came out in an interview and said that Foggy's back in season 2, that essentially both Karen and Foggy will be in season 2. And although we're not 100% sure what the context is, it didn't seem like he was talking about a flashback. And in comics, this happens. Like in comics, Foggy dies at one point, but it was actually like an FBI thing where he was put into witness protection. And so maybe it's something like that where Matt didn't even know that he was actually still alive. That would be pretty nuts. We also feel like we're getting into some Doctor Doom shenanigans where Doctor Doom's going to remake reality and potentially give people what they want. Like one of the big rumors for Spider-Man 4 is that Aunt May is going to come back. She just died in the last Spider-Man movie, and that's being done on purpose. Like the rumors are she's going to just be back in the world, and Peter's going to be like, yo, this is crazy. Aunt May's back? Like, this is wild. And we, the audience, are going to be like, wow, this is wild. Aunt May's back. I guess everybody's just getting all of the things they lost returned to them via Doctor Doom and some magic. But then again, that's probably not going to end well. So maybe it's something like that. Maybe it has to do with the soft reboot and Foggy's just back. Maybe there's another crazy explanation, like the hand bringing him back to life, or technology from certain characters bringing him back to life. There's all sorts of possibilities here. I want Foggy back, but I also feel a little bit weird as him being used as this thing to motivate Matt. Like they kind of fridge him just to motivate Matt. And then if they just bring him back, that's going to feel a little bit cheap. So I don't know. This is a weird aspect to the show, and it's really weird that Brad made these comments, and I'm wondering what you think about it. You think Foggy's coming back? Should Foggy come back? What's the deal with all of that? So I guess ultimately, that's my thoughts, my spoiler review and reaction to the first 2 episodes of Born Again. I think it's off to a great start. Not quite hitting the highs of the Netflix series so far, but There are some things the show is doing that I like more than what the Netflix show did, and we'll see where it goes from here. It could potentially even end up higher on my list than some of those seasons of Daredevil on Netflix. Let me know your thoughts about
Josh.
this in the comment
Right,
section below.
bro,
And as I always say, I hope you
I
are
don't think
having
it'll be
an
better.
awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.
Thanks, Josh. Go sub to the Den of Nerds and the Den of Nerds Live. He's where we get a lot of our information from. Yeah, look, I agree with a lot of what he said. I do not agree with his kind of review of the first episode. I definitely thought that the second episode was better than the first one. I can't get over how bad the first one was with that choreography. I can't let it go. I can't let it go. Yeah, I just fixed, sorry, while Josh was talking there, I fixed Streamlabs, so it shouldn't time anybody out anymore. Unless they, like, send links or some shit. I don't know. Todd, if you can hear me, I'm sorry about that, dude. I'm sorry, bro. Let's watch another, one.
A lawyer who moonlights as a vigilante, that's the kind of guy who'd want to
I like
protect
this guy.
his personal information. With the sponsor of this video is brought to you by NordVPN, the virtual private network constantly striving to download, blocks it if it looks suspicious. Have you gotten those official looking tax document link below? Go to NordVPN. All right, the Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah.
Tonight, you know what
We're
that
not getting
means.
sponsors.
I'm going to go ahead and give you a spoiler warning, as I am going to talk about spoilers in Daredevil
Spoilers.
Born Again, episodes 1 and 2.
Everywhere.
If you haven't seen the first 2 episodes and you care, you should probably stop this video now. I mean, feel free to come back after you've watched the first 2 episodes, but still, if you have seen the episodes or you just don't care, hey, pull up a chair. Let's have some fun talking about it. And as always, it's not going to be a play-by-play, just going to give you my thoughts on some things that stood out to me in these episodes. All right, disclaimer's done, and the show starts out with Matt, Karen, and Foggy hanging out. Life is good. You see this little fly land on a light bulb.
Oh, it annoys me so much.
A paperclip that's been straightened out go right through the fly, and I was like, oh, they're bringing Poindexter in right now. You see his glove, and I was like,
that was crazy.
Is he in the costume? Have they? No. I mean, not really. We're closer. Not quite there. He's in that ninja phase of Batman Begins for Bullseye. Also, Foggy gets shot. Anyhow, moving on. That does lead to a fight between Daredevil and Bullseye, which does take you back to those fights. The classic Daredevil series fights. You know, the one-shots that we all love. I mean, when Matt Murdock suited up and he was swinging around as Daredevil to intercept Bullseye, I was like, that is a lot more CGI than I'm used to in my Daredevil TV. You drop that Evanescence track, we have a bona fide, nay, benefied throwback to 2003. Regardless of that, the fight still did have the flavor, though. You know, Bullseye's throwing knives into Daredevil. Daredevil looked like a porcupine by the end. Props to his armor, and it does show what Bullseye is up against when he's not rocking the ninja outfit from season 3. Yeah, he could take a knife for 10. Only thing, Matt hears Foggy's heart stop, and he just drops Bullseye off the roof. Splat! I mean, he lives. Splat nonetheless. And yeah, Foggy's dead. Which there was something about the vibe in that bar where they're all hanging out and Foggy's getting a phone call. I was like,
what's going on here?
I'm feeling someone's gonna die. It's series show Resurrection Rebirth 101. Sometimes the price has to be paid. And there it is. All right, I guess it's Foggy. Cut to the new intro, which I do like the new intro, though I
not
do
crazy
miss
on
the old
it.
intro. I mean, it is Daredevil Born Again, not Daredevil Season 4. I don't know. Would have liked the old Daredevil intro for this. So we already saw this in the trailer.
Could they not do that because maybe Netflix wouldn't allow them to use it?
For mayor of New York. At the end of the episode, he becomes mayor of New York. And one of Fisk's goals as mayor is to outlaw masked vigilantes, which is another reason I really hope Ben Poindexter comes back. The man's getting multiple consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. They're pretty much putting him under the prison. Still, I love me a good villain. He's a solid villain. I'd like to see him return in the show, especially in the capacity of Wilson Fisk being mayor, outlawing masked vigilantes. At least that's the goal as of now. But we know how those politicians are. Laws for thee, not for me. Him hypocritically having a masked vigilante at his beck and call. I see the potential there. Or, well, I guess he's not a big fan of Wilson Fisk either. Fisk did kill his North Star after all, and that's why he tried to kill Vanessa at the end of season 3. Spoilers for season 3. But if you're watching this video before you watch season 3, it's a bit odd. But yeah, you would think Poindexter would finish that job and take out Vanessa or take out Wilson Fisk. Why didn't you take them out? It was because Vanessa was basically the queen pin at this point? I guess he was like,
Queen pin.
Can't
like
get
it.
to him. I'll just shoot Foggy, whatever. Marvel Studios contracts, not just a legal contract. It's a kill contract. I do like how the show plays up that Daredevil's gone, but the people are still calling for him. Crime is up. They want vigilantes.
Yeah.
Also speaks to a very real concept that people have lost faith in their politicians. They want someone else, something else to take care of the problem. They're doing this thing throughout the show, showing this low-res interview footage of people on the street, you know, what they think of Wilson Fisk. Apparently phones, cameras, modern technology in New York don't shoot in 4 and 8K. They're like, no, baby, party like it's 1999 and Boondocks.
Literally.
That shit. I do appreciate the fact that you don't need to watch the other shows that Kingpin has been in. You can watch Daredevil seasons 1, 2, 3, and just roll into here. For the most part, there will be a couple of references and nods that'll miss you, but you're not going to care. Like when Matt Murdock's talking to Wilson Fisk in the diner, and Wilson Fisk is like, do you have any kids? Matt says, nope. What about you? And Wilson Fisk says something like, I was a mentor, but that's as close as I ever got to being a parent or something like that. Then Matt Murdock says something like, didn't you get shot in the face? And I was like,
did she shoot you in the face?
Wait, that's Echo, right? Echo in Hawkeye still. Didn't she shoot him in the face? Also, real question, did those shows ever explain how Wilson Fisk is not in prison? Last I saw him in season 3.
This is something that I've been thinking about as well. Like, what's the timeline here? Because like that show takes place. He gets shot in the face. Obviously, he's healed enough that where his eyes grown back. That doesn't even really make sense, but look, we'll let that one slide. But like, yeah, like what? Obviously, at the end of season 3 of the show, he gets locked up. I think Vanessa talks about obviously when he goes away, she has to deal with, like, she becomes the queen pin as he says. Then what are we talking about? We're talking about him potentially getting out of prison. Then the events of Hawkeye happen. She's nowhere to be seen during the events of those shows. So what's he been up to? And then he gets shot. Then he has to go off and recover again. Yeah, it seems a bit. It seems a bit all over the place. And obviously, like, you know, like when did Matt go to San Francisco? Because when Karen said that she was in San Francisco, I thought like maybe they'd say, "Oh yeah, I was out there recently. I met a girl out there or whatever." I thought he was going to drop She-Hulk there, or maybe he went out to. Maybe that's why he was out over there to go see Karen. Maybe I don't know. Like, I'm kind of confused with the timeline.
He was on his way back to the clink. A bunch of cops who were in bed with him, so to speak. They were getting hauled away. Life was good in Hell's Kitchen. I did laugh when he and Vanessa were in couples therapy. I don't know why. There's just, you don't think about that kind of stuff when you think about Wilson Fisk. It's kind of like thinking about the Joker when he wakes up in the morning. I mean, imagine the guy doesn't sleep in his.
Yeah, those were intense scenes, Todd. Very intense. Loved it. I love that actor. The guy who's playing the commissioner. He's a great actor. Great actor.
It's makeup. He has to have a little makeup.
I'm excited to see
takes
more.
off the makeup for a job well done for the day.
Sorry about
curl
you.
up in his bed. Wake up the next
I
morning.
don't know what the fuck.
Have his morning
Streamlabs was out there.
put his makeup on. Eat breakfast. These things that you don't think about when you think about a character. It's kind of what couples therapy is for Wilson Fisk. And I couldn't help but chuckle when I saw it. Granted, it is the therapist that's now dating Matt Murdock. So I could see it being a calculated thing. Wilson Fisk will like, I'd like to patch this up.
That's a good
Let's
impression.
go to couples therapy. She's dating an old associate. A frenemy.
I like that.
The one She-Hulk smashed. Was that canon? I do have my thoughts about Fisk and Vanessa standing apart like this that I just don't like.
That was
This
good.
is a problem you might run into when different showrunners with different visions are dealing with the same character in different shows. Wilson Fisk and Vanessa had this love connection that was oddly and unexpectedly romantic. Guy spent an entire season 2 keeping her safe and then part of the next season trying to get her back. So now they're having marital problems because Wilson Fisk needed to be used in other shows to get people to hopefully tune in. Now we got to write a reason as to how Vanessa wasn't a part of it and any fallout that might come from that. But I like the Wilson Fisk element. In terms of tone, the show does have a familiar tone to the Netflix Daredevil series. I still prefer the original Daredevil Netflix series, just aesthetically speaking. It's grittier. The cinematography is more intimate. It looks like a David Fincher series. It's crazy. This does look more high budget, a bit cleaner. I feel like that works against it.
Yeah,
I like that dirty, gritty old vibe.
I
but
do
they
too.
do still treat Wilson Fisk generally like Wilson Fisk, though he laughs more
Yeah.
in this series than he has before. A few conversations, he laughs.
Yeah, it's
But
weird.
Wilson
I
Fisk
said
has
the same
always
thing.
been this
Too much teeth.
monster, this kingpin, this asshole who is doing what he sees to be.
Did anybody else notice at the start of the second episode he kind of name dropped Spider-Man? It was pretty cool. I'm so excited for him to do something with Spider-Man.
Best for the
Has
city
to
he
happen.
loves. And now he's mayor, and at least in the first 2 episodes, he seems to be operating with that same ideology. He even blackmails the commissioner. The commissioner comes into his office. He's like, hey, just came to give you these, my resignation, and I'm going to take a bunch of cops with me because we hate your guts. Peace. He's like, look under the napkin, asshole. He blackmails the guy. I was like, okay. You're still a dick. Good. We want you to be.
Yes,
We want you to be
needs to
that
be.
guy
He's
because
gotta
that's
be the
when you're
kingpin.
fun to watch. Funny, at the beginning of episode 2, Fisk is in his office. He's been elected mayor. That's when episode 1 ends. You see his hands and his knuckles have been beaten up. Like he's been punching somebody. I don't know. I just noticed his knuckles were beat up, which is
Yep.
really cool. Before he blackmailed the commissioner, that was the first inkling that maybe this guy isn't actually on the level. Maybe he's every bit the asshole we, the audience, know him to be. Or he had one hell of an inauguration party, went all Walter White on a paper towel dispenser. And the vigilante thing does bring us to White Tiger. You see, there were a couple of guys in this subway.
What did we think of White
beating someone
Tiger?
up, and this guy, this bystander, was like, hey, you stop that. He goes and intervenes. He fights off the 2 attackers. And yes, this is in a subway. So one of the attackers got the MK3. Turns out those guys who were beating someone up, they were cops. And the guy who intervened is actually a vigilante, White Tiger. I don't know much about White Tiger. I'm not going to front. So that's where we see the iconic Daredevil storytelling from Netflix unfolding here on
Sandwich of
Disney
shit.
Plus. That
Yeah,
person outside
so
Matt
funny.
Murdock and Daredevil's orbit that gets wrapped
was
up
so
in the
funny, dude.
situation. So Matt Murdock's going to defend this guy as his lawyer, like Frank Castle in season 2, Ray Nadeem in season 3. The man is the heart and tragedy of season 3. The I'm not your
Love
boss
Nadeem in
anymore.
season 3.
Wilson Fisk is. Throw the shield on the table. That still gives me chills. So Matt Murdock finds the guy who's being beaten up by the cops. And as he tells him, he's like, you are the only one who can help my client. And they're coming. We have 20 seconds. The guy keeps talking. He's like, 10 seconds. Which is prime Daredevil, even though he doesn't have his outfit and hasn't suited up since the very beginning of episode 1. The guy gets away and these cops confront Matt Murdock and they start beating the shit out of him. I was like, question that needs an answer. I feel like a lawyer is a pretty credible witness. I was like, couldn't he just be like, hey, so these cops beat the shit out of me. I guess they are that crooked. I think
I think that was probably what he would have done, except when they pulled the
then they were like, all right, we got to kill him. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, well, I mean, he is right. You do have to. Then Murdock goes full Daredevil without the suit. It's when you see the compound fracture in the arm. They took some hits. I mean, that's where the episode ends, is when he yells and then it cuts to black, end of the episode. But I was, did they die? I feel like Murdock could still be like, yeah, they came to kill my client. I know that because they were going to kill me and I acted in self-defense. How, you ask?
I kicked the fuck out
actually,
of
it wasn't
him.
me. It was some masked vigilante who dropped through the, it was great. Daredevil did. Yeah, it was nuts. Point is, they were there to kill him.
I
They
am
tried to kill
Daredevil.
me. Next question. The intrigue is rolling out. Like one of those crooked cops had a Punisher tattoo.
Yeah, I saw
Looked like
that.
a Punisher tattoo. Anyway,
Did ya?
maybe I looked at it upside down, in which it looks like a Punisher tattoo. It's
did.
actually Fat Sauron. But that intrigue is there. It's like, oh, is that when Punisher's going to come in? Is he going to have to take on these Punisher wannabes? Kind of like Batman had to take on the Sons of Batman in The Dark Knight Returns. My biggest hang up is the fact that
They always
Foggy
get
and
vigilante
Karen are
gangs
just
trying
not
to do
in
that.
it, but there are Foggy and Karen replacements. One of them knows he's Daredevil. The other one doesn't know he's Daredevil. Maybe they felt they capped in the intrigue of Karen and Foggy, but you can go other directions. If you feel you have to kill Foggy to get the plot moving, you can still keep Karen. When I was on these side missions with these characters who are brand.
So I agree with what he's saying here. I don't know why they got rid of Karen as well. Now maybe Karen comes back. I did see, because I was so pissed off again with episode 1 and how they did it, that I was on IMDb straight away and I was like, Deborah Ann Wall, look her up. I saw like credited for like 17 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. So I'm like, okay, there's 18 episodes total. She wasn't in this one, so I'm gonna guess she's gonna be in every episode after. But I think if they kill Foggy and get rid of Karen, it would be such a mistake.
Brand new to this season, this show, I didn't care. And then I mentally projected Karen into this situation and I cared a lot more. I don't see why you wouldn't give us one of the characters we become attached to in the previous 3 seasons. Calling it 3 seasons kind of cuts it short. It's 10 years. I hope he suits up more.
Yeah.
You know, the Daredevil costume has never been the only thing going in the Daredevil series, but it is an element of it. I'm still waiting for Daredevil to come into Daredevil. Right now, you can call it something different, like Matt Murdock, the Devil Within or something. But yeah, so far, off to a solid start here. I don't know how it's going to play out. By the end, it could all fall apart and end up being some sort of launch vehicle for Young Avengers or something. I admittedly,
Jesus
I don't
Christ.
like this, but
Please
I
don't do this, Disney. Don't
have
listen
that
to him.
perpetual feeling of, okay, when's the axe going to drop? I don't know what to say. I've just been conditioned to feel that way, to always be on guard. But so far, it's off to a solid start. There's intrigue. The characters feel like the characters. They seem to have an understanding of what Daredevil on Netflix is and was. I appreciate that. Looking forward to episode 3. All right, so Daredevil Born Again, the premiere. Episodes 1 and 2. Have you seen them? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.
Boom. Go do it. Subscribe. All that beautiful stuff. Yeah. Full steam ahead from here. Yeah, I pray. I pray so. I pray so. I'm not as I'm not as happy as I thought I was going to be. Like, yes, I think it's going to settle a bit, but I was hoping for more. Let's just say. I think there's a lot of good elements there. I think I'd be a lot happier if that opening scene didn't happen. That's all. That's all I'll say. I think if that opening scene didn't happen, I think I'd be a lot happier than I am right now. Yeah. Probably sitting on an 8 out of 10. Would be closer to a 9 out of 10 if that scene didn't happen, or if they did it in a different way or something. Man, haven't been able to open Discord all day. I have 25 notifications in it. I've been so afraid to see spoilers. I haven't even wanted to look at anything. Woo! Are all the episodes, does anybody notice, are all the episodes going to air at the same time? So next Tuesday, we're going to be stuck at the same situation where it's going to go live at 9 p.m. Eastern. What a fucking stupid time to air the thing. I don't know, did they just do that for the opener? Or are they all going to be at the same time? Because if they are, I'm going to be stuck till Wednesday evening to watch all of them, which is going to suck. I hope they don't. I hope they just what time do they put up Star Wars episodes at, for example? Is it really late at night as well? Usually I'll wake up on a Wednesday morning, and is it Wednesday morning or Tuesday morning? I usually wake up anyway, and the episodes are just all out. You did want more when it ended. Looking forward to next week. Just want to watch the next episode right now. And that's one of the things that Netflix did right, I'm going to say. When they released the entire show, it was just, that was it. It was the whole season, and you could just watch it at your own pace. I absolutely 100%, if the whole season was out now, I would still be sitting downstairs watching it right now. Guaranteed. I'd probably be finishing up close to midnight and going to bed. But if all the episodes were out now, I'd say I'd be on episode 4 by now. It drops from 1 p.m. for you. Yeah, so for me it's 2 a.m. that it drops. And I was live on Twitch last night playing games. Got off at 1 a.m. Washed up, got into bed, fell asleep, woke up. It came out probably an hour after I went to bed, maybe a little less. But sure, I'd be up till 4 o'clock if I was going to watch it, and then I have to be in work at 9. It's not realistic. It can't be done. And then I could have probably watched one episode on my lunch break in work, but I wouldn't have been able to do that to the missus. Otherwise, I'd be sleeping on the couch tonight. Which is understandable. I could never do that to her. That's a form of cheating, in my opinion. So yeah, rough. What do we think about the Secret Wars leaks that came out? Here, I gotta watch one more video. One more video, guys, and then I'm going to bed. I appreciate anybody who was here live, and if you're watching us on a replay, you know, do the usual YouTube shit, subscribe to the channel, all that, blah 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 blah. And check out we have a clips channel now. Check it out. Heavy spoilers. I gotta see what he says. He's wearing a suit and he's got the red glasses. He's already earned the like, in my opinion. He's earned it already. I haven't even watched the video yet. Theory's live right now? That's cool. Okay, anyway, sorry.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Paul, and this
Go on,
video,
Paul.
we're talking about Daredevil Born Again. After a 7-year hiatus, the fans have been through lots
It's crazy
of
that it's been 7 years.
Not only was there a time where the beautiful series was cancelled by Netflix, but there was also a time where the characters were out of the
Steelbook collection so much.
treated like the kid who'd been locked up in the attic. They were brushed out the way and said they weren't part of the team. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, pretty much every single TV show was completely decanonized. Eventually, Netflix gave up the rights, and there were theories Marvel would reboot with new actors. However, there came some hope after a campaign started on Twitter. The hashtag Save Daredevil movement apparently caught Feige's attention, and it made him change his mind. Though the gap was years and years, he decided to bring the actors back. Slowly, Charlie Cox rumors started to pop up, and it wasn't too long before he appeared in some
2021.
projects. She-Hulk, Spider-Man No Way Home, they all featured moments with the character. However, when they announced Daredevil Born Again, fan expectation hit the roof. Born Again's probably the character's most famous arc, and the Frank Miller classic's been enjoyed by millions. The title Born Again, of course, also played into the idea of how a character we thought we'd lost would be reborn under Marvel's leadership. However, rumblings started to emerge that the project was in trouble. At the time, Marvel was, let's say, going through a low point. The movies were underperforming both commercially and critically, and Disney Plus viewership had fallen faster than Gamora. There were rumors that Foggy and Karen weren't in it at all, and they'd been poochied off screen.
You're gonna watch all these vids anyway? Yeah, I was
going
gonna watch them anyway. I thought we could just hang out and watch them together, Todd.
Connected to the Netflix
Hell yeah,
show.
dude.
It
Let's
was
watch
said
them all
that
together.
Born Again wouldn't be a 4th season of the series, and that it should be seen as its own thing. On top of this, the creatives were reimagining it, so though it would remain faithful to the character, it wouldn't be the TVMA that we'd seen in the series before. Described, and I'm not kidding, it was described as a PG comic legal procedure, and it was said Daredevil wouldn't appear in costume until episode 4. Fans were naturally in uproar. I'm sure you can imagine what the internet's like. And it seemed like it was going to be a victim of Marvel's constant decline in quality. However, Marvel had a clear overhaul behind the scenes. Several projects were delayed by years, and it was announced that those 6 episodes of Daredevil had been filmed. They do a complete creative overhaul. Behind the scenes, both D'Onofrio and Cox had expressed concerns, and Feige listened to the actors. Deciding to go back to the original tone of the Netflix show, several members of the old team were brought on board. 3 new episodes were then crafted, which included a brand new pilot. Additional scenes were also shot for the previous...
like, brand new pilot. So episode 1 was new, so it wasn't from the original one. That's more so what I heard, but I don't know if we'll ever officially know this. I think Josh is just he's theorizing when he says that he thinks that the first 2 episodes were from the original. Maybe that's what he's hoping, but it would make more sense that they, because of course they brought Foggy and Karen back and stuff like that. So like obviously that wasn't from the original show.
Filmed episodes, and
So,
these would feature a much grittier tone. Eldon Henson was also rehired along with Deborah Ann Wool. A photo of them leaked to the internet, and we were back. We were so fucking back. Awooga! Just Foggy, Yoggy. Oi, oi, oi. Now that takes us into the opening of the episode and why it's so devastating. Despite going through all of that, Foggy's killed in the intro, and this completely tears the trio apart. It all goes down in the first 18 minutes, which completely floored me. Starting off with
New York City.
we join the 3 in the scene from the photo. Walking along the streets, they discuss their hope for the future before heading to Josie's. It felt like a trip down memory lane and perfectly recaptured the good old days.
Yeah.
I was really shocked at how they managed to bring it all back perfectly, including the tone, and all these little details were important. 7 years is a hell of a long time, but it genuinely felt like they hadn't missed a beat. Everything seemed like it was gonna be fine, and we could just sit back and breathe a sigh of relief. Foggy even shoots his shot, and it seems like Karen and Matt are getting along great. However, things start to change. Matt begins to hear something strange,
I love
and I
that
love how
shot.
this changes the aspect ratio.
Yeah,
It
that
not
was
only
so
got him
sick.
in, but also got us locked into the episode. From here, we then see our dreams torn apart as Foggy's shot by Bullseye. Introduced with him throwing a paperclip through a fly, it's a clear nod to the post-credit scene from that Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. He then gets himself into position and snipes Foggy as he stands there beside Karen. Now, due to the crack shot that he is, I believe he actually did this for a specific reason. He could have easily gone for the head, as we see him do this with the two that rush out the bar. However, this keeps the character suffering and alive for a little bit longer. What follows is a devastating onslaught in which Daredevil fights Poindexter. All the while, Foggy's out on the pavement, and it feels like a real mix of emotions. On one hand, you're like, oh yeah, they're doing it, they did it. And on the other hand, you're like,
Foggy,
I
please,
hope
no.
Foggy's okay, I hope Foggy's okay. Now, I did watch the trailer about 70 times, and I noticed that he's not in any of it, but I still had the hope. I hoped he was okay. Honestly, though, it's absolutely relentless, and we see as Bullseye plies Matt with knives as the pair go to the bar. Film like it's all in one take, it builds off those classic scenes from the Netflix shows. These were known for their one-take action scenes, which were over the top and brutal. Filming it like this keeps you locked into what's going on, and it makes you feel like you're part of the action. Real life, of course, doesn't have cuts or angle changes, and it just works so well. The entire time, Bullseye's just messing up the patrons and using all manner of things to kill them. It's probably the most brutal killing spree he's ever been on, and the whole time he's throwing knives into Matt. However, Matt keeps going, and it helps to paint him out as being an almost supernatural force. Nicknamed the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, there's definitely that side to him. Even the way he first suits up and stands against the steeple, the stained glass creates a halo around it.
Look at the way he like comes in.
There's definitely that side to him. Even the way he first suits up and
that was
stands
so
against
bad,
the steeple,
bro.
the stained glass sort
That
of
was
creates
so bad.
a halo around his head. So is he an angel? Is he a devil? I don't know, but it just works brilliantly.
That
It's
CGI
just
was
crazy
criminal.
seeing the fight, and I love how he even stops to listen to Foggy's condition. However, he's got a job to do, and upon reaching the roof, he brutally beats up Bullseye. Like, even though the guy was going to leap himself by the looks of it, Matt still pulls him back. In a moment that's a nod to Daredevil 82, he then listens to Foggy's heartbeat its last beat. What I love about this is that they have Karen seeing it happen with Foggy while Matt's up on the roof with Poindexter. He couldn't even be at his friend's side as he died, even though it's pretty much Matt's fault. Like, I say it's his fault. It was Bullseye who pulled the trigger, but, you know, Matt's going to blame himself because he brought his friends into this. Due to his life as Daredevil, he's been forced to be away from those he loves, which has led to isolation. This is the same thing here once more with him being away from what's happening. In the end, Foggy dies, and Matt just loses control, and we see him completely shattered. I think normally when you hit such a low point like this, you just start thinking, what's the point? You have that side that's looking to blame someone, but also the feeling there's nothing really worth fighting for. So even if you got your revenge, it kind of feels like it wouldn't even help. This is exemplified perfectly in Matt, who then just pushes Poindexter off the building. Have to admit, when I first saw it, I was shocked by how brutal this was. Like,
I thought it was a dream.
You know, they can push the limits.
I thought it was a dream sequence or like a nightmare. I thought he was going to wake up
off a roof like this and watching him hit the floor, smashing it like the like button. I was
How
a
did he
bit floored by
survive it?
it. Bit floored like Bullseye. However, there was also that side of him that I was like, good for you, Matt. Fuck the lad. Push him. Kill the twat. I could totally relate to it, though. And no matter how heroic, how upstanding you try to be, I think most people would do the same. Matt then unmasks and throws his helmet over the side, which has its broken horn. That then takes us into the title sequence, which has a slowed down version of the original theme. We watch as the statues and symbol of the past all begin to crumble and crack. It very much captures
the visuals,
mood
but
of what it
not the
felt
song.
like watching that Netflix universe fall apart. However, as the title goes on, things start to rebuild. The pieces pull themselves back together, and in their place, they build something new. It's extremely poetic, and it feels like the perfect way to tell us that Daredevil's been born again.
He said it! He said it!
Now, though I haven't seen the rest of the episodes after 2, this filled me with hope. I think metaphorically, it was the perfect way to open the series, and it managed to recapture the ups and downs we've gone through, giving us what we wanted, but then taking it away. It just felt devastating to watch. But to me, it worked on an excellent level. If you've been keeping up with the channel, then you'll know I've kind of lost my love for the MCU. While I have the odd good project, I just feel like it's turned into something made by committee. It's very directionless, no focus on the characters, piece of crap, and I enjoy it more than I'd enjoy it now.
I'd love to walk around his room and just look at his full collection. It looks epic.
Things like the emotional connections,
clean
though,
looking.
I feel like they've been reduced heavily in the characters. We don't have those they care about, like the bond between Steve and Peggy, Tony and Pepper, and hell, even Steve and Bucky. A lot of the projects like the Marvels, Brave New World, to me at least, you know, they have a serviceable story, but I don't really feel the emotional reason of what the heroes are fighting for. Everyone's just kind of doing a story instead of being a character going through a story. So to have something that manages to service not only the action, but also the emotion, it really felt like the perfect way to begin. After the reworking, the recasts, and well, the journey over the last 7 years, it did feel like, you know, it had the potential to fall apart. However, this opening gave me hope for the future, and I hope you guys have enjoyed hearing me discuss it. If you have, please drop a like, and also I'd love to read your comments below. Do you agree? Do you not? What are you thinking
Heavy
of the show
spoilers.
so far?
Give 'em a
Let me know
follow.
below. Did you know as well?
Legend. Legend. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave it there, guys. Myself and Alex will sit down next week. We'll probably at this stage we'll have the third episode to talk about as well. We'll get his thoughts on the first two. Any other kind of nerdy bits in between as well. We'll talk about in the podcast. I might clip a few of these out and put them up on the Clips channel as well, just a couple of reaction videos and stuff, just to keep the content alive. But I appreciate everybody here who's here live, and if you're watching us on a replay, you know, do the usual, smash a like, leave a comment below, let us know what you think, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys. Bye.